We are interviewing Deon Clark. He is an engineer. He came from a poor neighborhood in Chicago. So the way he escaped from drugs and violence was by joining the Navy.
My brother is currently serving a 285-year prison sentence. My sister just got out of jail. And so for me, remembering where I came from and these battles, that's the thing that I made a promise to myself and to my mother. Come hell or high water, I will get here. The neighborhood I grew up in is a place in Chicago, the south side of Chicago, lower income, poor areas. And so the Navy didn't go to these areas to find engineers and certain talent. I went to the recruiter, sat me down, I had to take an exam. There's 107 questions, you get 7 minutes to do it. It's like a decoding. You're not gonna get that done. And I remember I took the first 4 or 5 questions and I took my time and went through it. And there was a pattern. And so I said, well, I got 4 minutes left. I got 102 questions to get through. I have nothing to lose. So I said, I was gonna apply this pattern. And so it became all the way down through. I got done with the exam. And I remember when the young lady came out and looked me dead in the eye and said, the Navy don't want people like you. And I'm thinking it's 16-year-old, 17-year-old Deon. I said, what do you mean? She said, the Navy don't want people like you. The Navy doesn't want cheaters. I looked at her, I said, who cheats to go to the military? Who does this? So my recruiter came and he said, you figured out their pattern? I said, I don't know. You tell me, are you saying that I did it accurately? Because I didn't know that. And his next words were, you're exactly what the Navy wants. This began to open up the world of nuclear.
How was those years in the Navy?
It was rough. See, I was 17 when I went in. So imagine fresh out of high school, and the Navy's program was set up that in 18 months, you went from know nothing to qualified to operate a naval nuclear power plant. 18 months, 15 hours a day, Monday through Monday. No weekends, no breaks.
Wow.
100 went in, 35 came out. And so I got through the training, and I had 42 people working for me on a nuclear aircraft carrier at age 19. You're a leader. You have 42 people who you're now assigning work to. When you're done with that, you're taking apart some type of hydraulic actuator or a turbine generator to repair it, and you're 19. That's the part that I loved about it. You become a valuable and asset to anyone and in any institution because of that knowledge. So the Navy was all right from that regard. It was tough, but it paid off.
How was it for you to come back after you reached all this success and then come back to your hometown?
When I went back to Chicago, it was seeing sort of this sense of hopelessness. So I started volunteering a lot of my time, where I would go to different high schools and just talk to students and share my story, and just started taking smaller gigs here and there, started teaching at colleges, writing curriculum, doing things of that nature. I would find that these young people would lock in, and they wanted to know, how did you do it?
What do you teach kids in your organization?
I explain to them what a nerd is, because I tell them you're getting ready to become a nerd. And it has a negative connotation typically. But I ask a lot of the young folks, I say, how many of you all know nerds in your school? And of course, hands go flying, some of them like, there he is right there. And so, and I ask them, I say, well, what is it about that kid that you would kind of make them seem like they're a nerd, or sort of an outcast, a geek? And they express, they always stay focused, they don't do anything, they don't hang out with anyone. And so I asked them a question that caused them to think about it. I said, where does the nerd live? Oh man, he lived down the street from me. I say, so what you're telling me is they see everything you see, they're exposed to everything you're exposed to. They have the exact same challenges you have because you all in the same environment. Yet somehow that kid has the strength to defy all the peer pressure, and still do well in school, still survive. I said, that ain't no nerd. That's a tough kid to be able to deal with everything you deal with, but not have the entourage and still make good grades. I said, that ain't no nerd. Where you are is where you are. But what are you willing to do to change that situation? And many times, what you need to be willing to do is what most kids simply don't want to do. It will not be easy. And I can almost guarantee for most people to get where you're going, you're gonna have to separate from the people that you know, the comfort zone that you're typically used to. At some point, you're gonna have to break that. And it's a matter of, have you deemed why you're breaking that to be worth it? And for me, it was worth it.
Wow. I guess just to wrap this all up, what advice do you have for our generation and the upcoming generations?
One of the things, and I think it's probably the most powerful visual that we give the young folks, I asked them, how many of y'all believe you can survive a week without water? And no one believes you can, because the human body needs it. I said, so if you have not had water in 4 days, if I set a bottle of water in front of you, I said, what would it take for me to convince you to not drink that bottle of water? How would I have to get in your brain enough that though that bottle of water is right there at your reach, I'm gonna cause you not to go reach it? And so they start to see that and like, it's nothing you can do. It's no way you'll stop me from it. And then I kind of give them the visual of, well, is it safe to say that without education, there's a certain path you're gonna go down? So if you know you need education, or you essentially sort of perish, what then does another kid your age do to cause you to not go and get the thing that you know you will not survive without? How powerful does another kid have to be to get in your brain to tell you, leave that cup of water, leave those books alone? I said, that's the part where you all have to be that nerd. You got to be able to look at somebody and say, hey man, I know what I need. I know what I have to do. It's a fact. And for another little 13-year-old to somehow talk you out of doing your homework, that's no different than talking you out of drinking a bottle of water that you know you need to survive.
I mean, I needed to hear that. That's, wow. That water analogy, it's like, there's so many factors convincing me not to just grab that water.
It says, keep pressing forward.
Right on.
That's the message.
One of my favorite quotes is, the greatest nemesis to change is the conflict between what you want to become and how you want to feel. And I really want to feel good all the time. And that's really been degrading my growth. It's been degrading my life. It's been degrading kind of everything I'm trying to accomplish. And Deon gave this incredible formula. That bottle of water is my education. I did not get the grades I could have got this past year. I didn't. I can find other people to compare myself to and feel good about myself, but there's really no value in that. And that terrifies me, to have finally this analogy in my head that can actually connect me with that consequence.